Alright folks, this is basically a perfect shot of Mount Baker, which equals Mount Cacao, which equals Theobroma Cacao. Baker equals Cacao, and it's glaring, okay? The BK differ by 1 and 4 from the first CO, and then the ER differ from 2 and 3 in order by the second CO, and then the A equals the A, okay? So Mount Baker equals Mount Cacao, okay, equals Mount Up, equals Theobroma Cacao. And in order, Theobroma Cacao can be split into Mount Up, which is Mount Baker, which is Mount Cacao, okay? So I'm saying that everything that God foreordained in your life is exactly there to fit in perfectly with everything that He's leading you to do, okay? So that it's all for His glory in the sovereignty of the whole story, okay? So this, my friends, is the most beautiful high mountain that you see, okay, from where I live, okay, here in Langley. And so Mount Baker equals Mount Cacao. So Baker equals 37 equals up equals Cacao. But now, what is so shocking and beautiful is compare the 5 letters mathematically of Baker with Cacao, okay? And this will shock you, okay? So the A is the A, okay? Now a BK is 1 less and 4 less from the first CO, okay? And then the ER is 2 higher and 3 higher from the second CO in order, okay? That's 5 points down on the first pair. Remember, 5 is the number of joy. That's 5 points down on the first pair, 5 points up on the second pair. 5 is the number of joy, and you hit in 5 letters perfectly that Baker equals Cacao. Okay? I told you that Cacao was huge. I told you that God food was huge. I told you that it's going to sweep the world and dietary consumption like you wouldn't believe in my lifetime. Okay? So the scientific name of Cacao is Theobroma Cacao, which is 120, which is perfectly Mount Baker, which equals the truth and a host of other famous joy 120s. But if anyone does a mathematical comparison between the letters Mount Baker and Theobroma Cacao, you will be shocked at how close the correlation is. You can even see it at first glance in your mind's eye, that they share many of the same letters, that many of the letters are close to each other and would add to each other. And it's all the sovereignty of God, okay? Pay attention to what God puts in your life that is a standout, that is like unignorable, that is like glaring, that is like the biggest thing. It is like, whoa, I can't miss talking about Mount Baker this morning. Like, I can't miss Mount Baker. You know, it's like you can't miss Theobroma Cacao. You can't miss Mount Cacao. Okay, it all adds up. It's once you know God's voice and He's speaking to you about everything, okay, everything adds up, okay? So Baker, okay? Baker equals Cacao in 5 letters, the number of joy. BK, 1 and 4 points less from the first CO. ER, 2 and 3 points higher than the second CO. A equals A, that's a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4, and a 0. Perfect. To glorify 5, the number of joy. The first pair, 5 down, the second pair, 5 up. It's a perfect equivalence, glorifying the number 5, which is the number of joy, which I've talked about for Cacao endlessly. Okay? So, Mount Baker, Mount Cacao, Mount Up. Is Cacao huge? Yes. Is God food huge? Yes. Is it like the cornerstone of your diet? Yes. If you want to feel up, 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 and higher, 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 and more terrific and more Eden-esque every single day for the rest of your life, yes. And glorify God because it's called God food, okay? And then now, I encourage you to take this higher and do a mathematical comparison between the letters Theobroma Cacao, the scientific name of Cacao, and Mount Baker. The two equal 120 perfectly, but you compare the letters and you will see so much equivalence and closeness, it'll shock your pants off. But it's all the foreordained sovereignty of God, okay, to glorify himself, his story for your life, and I'm just here to declare it, okay, in advance, so that other people who get on cocoa like crazy and consume their daily cocoa powder like crazy and their Theobroma cacao like crazy will glorify the Lord, okay. But there you go, Theobroma cacao, Mount Baker, Mount Cocoa, Mount Up, solve it, and I'll have more to say.